Welcome to the Madison Miller podcast. Tonight's guest is the host of the What's Brewing show on Blog Talk Radio. I am a participant on his show, and this is George Brew. How are you?
You're more than a participant on that show.
I guess I'm more than a participant on the show. I guess that's true. But yeah, I consider yourself a pretty good gambler, and we talk about the NHL a lot on the show, and we talked about it on Saturday night, and I had me have the idea of you having to come on. So I have the series prices up here on DraftKings.
Okay.
So we'll just go by the order of start times in the next round. So the first series that's supposed to start is Columbus Tampa Bay. Columbus is plus 185. Tampa is 225 to win the series. I'm leaning Tampa Bay to win the series, but I like the exact outcome odds better because you get more value. Tampa in 5 is plus 385. Tampa in 6 is 4-1. Tampa in 7 is plus 450. Columbus in 7 is plus 650. Columbus in 6 is 7-1. Tampa, the sweep, is plus 750. Columbus in 5 is 11-1. And Columbus, the sweep, is 25-1. Do any of these numbers intrigue you?
You know, after last year, you've got to figure Columbus is going into this feeling good. And Tampa's got that whole revenge thing working. Tampa in 6 intrigues me.
That's 4-1.
Yeah, you know, it's like one of those things. It's like it's so hard to handicap anything in this season, COVID break, bubble, whatever. That it's like anything can happen. You know, like how much is Tampa gonna miss Hedman? You know, so it's like it'd be easier to say they're gonna sleep because they're still pissed on last year, but Columbus is feisty and they could steal it. You know, if you have a 2-1 game, Columbus could steal that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I can see that series going 6.
I'm going to go with 7. Tampa and 7 at plus 450. No Hedman hurts, especially on the defense, and he's a leader for that team as well. I'd go the Lightning in 7 as well. Switching over to the West for a second, Calgary and Dallas. You tell me an outcome, and I'll give you the price.
Oh, Calgary in 7.
Calgary in 7 was actually my pick, and I have that on DraftKings here at plus 525.
Yeah, and like Dallas doesn't intrigue me.
Doesn't intrigue me either.
You know, it's just like Boston in the East. And I'm sure we'll get to them like soon. But like Boston in the East and St. Louis, they had great regular seasons. Boston could have had a historic regular season if not for the COVID break.
Right.
And it's like you put so much into it. They're trying. They used the round robin the right way. Like they didn't go. I don't think Boston went balls to the wall, and I definitely don't think St. Louis went balls to the wall. I think they did it to get guys timing back, to get Tarasenko back and playing. Dallas, on the other hand, yeah. I mean, it was crappy. The West was terrible this year. You know, like it just wasn't like Boston was the stand on the East, where you know Tampa Bay would have won the West, right? Am I crazy here? Like thinking this way?
You're not crazy.
So, like what did St. Louis have? 92 points.
Something like that.
Something. Like to me, it was just like the West was ho hum. The Pacific Division was terrible. And I know, granted, you play everybody, but yeah, Dallas just until Tyler Seguin finally shows up in a playoff series, and Jamie Benn finally shows up in a playoff series, I don't ever see them winning.
Yeah. I am not a big Dallas Stars believer either. I'm going with Calgary in 7 here as well. It's plus 525. I like that value as well. And Calgary in 6 is also plus 525. I think that's a little weird that those two outcomes are the same price.
That just tells me the smarts know something.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why Vegas has a ton of chandeliers.
You're right.
You know, as the great Pat McAfee always says. You know, there's chandeliers there for a reason. They know more than you do. So the fact that they're making both of those numbers the same, they know that Calgary's going to win. They just are hedging that it's going to be in 6 or 7. What are they for 5?
Calgary in 5 is plus 675, which is crazy.
Which means they think Dallas can steal a couple games. That's all that means to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so they think Dallas can steal a couple games. That's why Calgary in 6 and in 7 are each plus 525. Back to the East.
Yeah.
You mentioned
if you're
the.
Putting your money on for 7. You really have, you know, a heart of stone, because there's no way I could have money on something going 7, knowing that Game 7's always a crapshoot.
Right. You're so right about that. Game 7s are always a crapshoot. You mentioned the Bruins earlier. They play Carolina. What price are you, or what outcome would you, are you intrigued by?
Bruins at 5.
Bruins in 5 is plus 485.
Yeah, Boston came out, played better as the game wore on, which is Boston Bruin hockey. They gave up some terribly timed goals. Like the game winner for Tampa was very uncharacteristic Boston. Oshie's goal on Sunday, they make it 1-0 with less than 20 seconds to go in the first period. Very uncharacteristically Boston. I think they were just, all right, everybody help. Kind of, they took this as the same way Major League Baseball teams should look at spring training.
Right.
Did you win? Who cares? Did everybody come out healthy? Yeah, okay, then it's a win. You know, let's not forget Ducares is playing with a broken finger in his glove hand.
That's right.
So, you know, and Jarl Halak didn't look good against Philly.
Right.
So you're going to see a lot of Tuukka, and Tuukka's going to have to nurse that hand. You know, if they're up, let's say 3-love, you know, they still have that. You know, Cam Neely definitely still has the thought process of 10 where they blew it against the Flyers. You may see Jarl Halak in 4. That may give, you know, Carolina the win. I love what Ron Brind'Amour has done in Carolina. Dougie Hamilton's there. We're talking a different series.
Right.
But no Dougie Hamilton to match up against the perfection line or, you know, Krejci's line, Boyle's line. I mean, the Bruins do run 4 deep. If they could ever find a second line right wing to play along David Krejci, I would say 97, 98 Red Wings.
But yeah, I like the Bruins here too. I like the Bruins in 6. It's plus 465. I know it's not exactly that great of a price, but yeah, I like Boston in 6 over Carolina. Although Carolina in 6 is plus 550. I thought about that, but no Dougie Hamilton, so that's what made me swing over to Boston's side. Chicago and the Golden Knights also kick off tomorrow as well. I know you like the Golden Knights as well. That's your Western Conference team.
They are my Western Conference team.
That's your Western Conference team. I can't believe how big of a favorite they are. In their series alone, they're minus 315 in Chicago to win the series outright. It's plus 255. But the exact outcome, exact outcome are you looking at?
I want to dispatch of Chicago as quick as possible if I'm Peter DeBoer and the Vegas Golden Knights. You know, yes, Edmonton has a great penalty kill, and that's the only thing that saved that series for them. Vegas is very good on the penalty kill, and oh, by the way, they won the round robin tournament without Pacioretty.
Right.
Pacioretty is playing. Vegas in 5, and that's only because I think Fleury has one bad game.
I could see Vegas in 5. It's actually plus 335, which I think is, I think that's a little short. I think it should be like more like 4-1. I think Chicago could win a couple games here. Golden Knights in 6 is plus 425. I'd go with that price just because I could see Chicago having some pride in stealing a couple games. I don't think Chicago's going to win the series, but I won't be surprised if it's interesting. Chicago in Game 1 I think is really interesting as well. Chicago in Game 1 is plus 165. I might actually bet that and then get a better price on the Golden Knights after Game 1 if Chicago wins Game 1. I think that would be like an interesting strategy. What do you make of that strategy?
Before I make that bet, I would look and see. Vegas is really good on the social media, especially with line combinations. They're just like Boston, where they actually. It's surprising how much they're like Boston, where they tweet out and put on the socials their line combinations at morning skate. Who's the first goalie off the ice? I would see who's first off the ice for goal. If it's Fleury, that may be a good bet because he didn't look good against St. Louis on the Thursday night. And Robin Leonard has been a godsend to them, which is, I think, the reason why even pre-COVID, I would have re-bet on Vegas if I had known that there was going to be the COVID and Stone and Patches and Tuck and everybody else is going to be back healthy.
Yeah.
The playoffs started in April. Vegas is probably playing around without Stone and Patches.
Right.
Getting to the fact that you did start in August, I'm trying not to hit any potholes for you on the drive here, so I'll have to look at that. But, no, playing with Stone and Patches, I mean, I have been on the pump Max Pacioretty's tires ever since he got to Vegas. I thought this year he should have definitely been a Hart Trophy candidate because without him, God only knows where Vegas is.
Yeah, Pacioretty was a really good pickup.
You know, and it's the same thing I said Saturday night about Pete DeBoer. Without Pete DeBoer, Vegas is playing Chicago in the first round.
Right.
In the qualifiers. And the job Pete DeBoer has done, Pete DeBoer can win the playoffs. He just needs to finally get a win in the playoffs. Like, he needs to get that cup. Because
Exactly.
Pete DeBoer, for 10 years, has been one of the best coaches in the NHL, and nobody gives him credit for it.
Exactly. I always felt that way about DeBoer. I think he did a good job with the Devils, and I think he did a good job with the Sharks. And I think this Vegas team is one of the best teams he's ever coached. I really do. I think he's done a great job with this team, a lot of talent. I won't be shocked if they go on a run. And by the way, when we get the futures later, they are one of, obviously, the favorites. Wednesday starts the Islanders and the Capitals. I got to admit, I think my favorite exact outcome of series bet is in this series. Where are you leaning for this series?
Islanders in 6.
That's the bet I want to make, and it's plus 650.
Yeah, the Islander, Barry Trotz is, I mean, without a doubt, like, he doesn't need, like, he's got the cup. He doesn't need the validation. Everybody loves Barry Trotz. I mean, the job he did in Nashville, the job he did in Washington, granted, if Braden Holtby doesn't stop the Stone Alex Tuck in Game 2, Vegas probably wins that series and they win a cup their first year. And it's mind-boggling that one save can turn an entire series the way that one save did.
Right.
But, Trotz got them to exercise the Game 7 demon. Helped out that the East was weak that year. Washington, to me, doesn't have enough depth. The Islanders have depth. And, Holtby himself can steal some games. I don't know if Holtby's stealing around.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
You watched them play Boston yesterday. Boston was just like, all right, we got to play 60 minutes of hockey. We really don't care where we end up.
Right. And the thing with the Islanders, a lot of people are worried about their goaltending. Their goaltending hasn't really been all that bad, with the exception of the third period against the Panthers in Game 3 of this restart. Their defense is phenomenal. I love the Islanders in this series. I love them in 6, and it's plus 650. That is absolutely my favorite bet of the first round of the playoffs. I am going to really put a lot on that one. Arizona, Colorado.
I didn't get to watch a ton of the Islanders just because of the times they were playing and my quarry job.
Right.
Johnny Boychuk playing?
Boychuk, yes, I believe he is.
Another guy, Johnny Boychuk, another guy who wouldn't have played in the playoffs in April.
Yeah, another former Bruin.
Johnny Boychuk constantly gets overlooked. I watched him for years in Boston. When the Bruins traded him, I was heartbroken because I think he's one of the best defensemen in the game that gets no credit.
I agree with you. He, to me, is still underrated. I think that guy is still good. Like, I know he was in his better days were in Boston, but he's been good with the Islanders. Arizona, Colorado. Our buddy Derek likes this Arizona team and thinks they have a shot to beat Colorado. Arizona really did impress me in the first round against the Preds, but I still like Colorado in the series. What about you?
John Hines is coaching the Preds. I give them no credit.
That's true.
And that leads to what I was saying before about how bad the West was. The fact that our Nationals are 6 seed and the Preds are the 11, or the Coyotes are the 11. The Coyotes definitely underachieved after they acquired Taylor Hall.
For sure.
Colorado to me is a team that can make a very deep run as long as their goaltending can hold.
Agree.
FFP over there in Arizona. Between Kessel and Taylor Hall's playing for a contract. It didn't look good for him in the end of the New Jersey days. He wasn't going to get a big deal, but now there's a chance if he has a good playoff, and he knows that. And that series can go 7. I think Colorado in the end has too much, and I also think at some point Nazem Kadri's going to turn back into the piece of shit that he is. You can only tame a dog for so long.
Right.
And he's tame right now.
Yeah, Nazem Kadri. That's what they were saying on Toronto radio. Kadri and how he has that bad reputation. But sans that, I still like Colorado. I think they win in 6. I'm going to say take that at 4-1. Colorado in 5 is plus 335, so they don't really think that this series is going to be all that great.
Those are the series that usually are 7-game epics.
Yeah.
With a double overtime that series, I really think that series can and will go 7. If Darcy Kemper plays as well as Darcy Kemper played, there's a reason why Vegas plays to win Saturday. They wanted nothing to do with Arizona.
Yeah.
That doesn't show you anything.
Darcy Kemper's been out of his mind in these playoffs. That's why Derek likes the Coyotes potentially over Colorado because of Kemper. But I could see him regressing a little bit, and I like Colorado here. Montreal and the Flyers. This is probably my least favorite series of the first round. What are you leaning the exact outcome?
The Flyers scare me because they put so much into winning the round robin to get that one seed. Carey Price is an elite all-world goaltender.
Price has turned back the clock.
Yeah, it's not even like there's not even a thought process there. Like, he is phenomenal, and I think getting Kovalchuk out of that room helped them.
Yeah.
Philly could win. Montreal could win. There's too many Europeans on Philly. And Vigneault is a terrible coach when the chips are against the wall.
Right.
Like, he brain farts so much on the bench that it's not even funny. If Montreal wins this, they gotta win in like five or six.
Montreal in 5 is 13-1.
Yeah, Carey Price can steal that series for them. And I look at elite goaltenders as a goaltender that can steal a series. Not a game, a series. Carey Price can steal this series.
He can. He really impressed me against the Penguins. I'm probably gonna go with Philadelphia in 6. I think that Price can steal a couple, and either 5 or 6. But 6 is the better price at 4-1, and 5 is plus 335. In my bones, I'd say Philadelphia in 5, but Philadelphia in 6 obviously has more value there with 4-1. And by the way, Canadians in 6 is plus 750. I think that's intriguing as well.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm putting my money.
Wow.
Because Pittsburgh still has more firepower.
Right.
Pittsburgh's problem is that their best goaltender. I know Matt Murray won 2 cups for him, but their best goaltender still plays in the desert. Like, they keep Fleury. They're a different story. You know, I think Tristan Jarry's the guy there. They didn't play him enough.
I like Tristan Jarry.
So,
I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, Montreal really jumps out at me.
That is really a good price, plus 750 for a goalie playing as well as Carey Price is. So, that's a good call by you, I think. I won't be actually dumbfounded if that happens. And the last series is Vancouver St. Louis. I don't know if I really love this series all that much, but watch this be like that classic series that we talked about, Colorado, Arizona. Watch this be one of those because I'm not really that intrigued in this series. I just think the Blues are better.
The Blues are definitely better. And look, they went into that last game and they started Jake Elliott. You know, Jordan Binnington's the guy. You know, I'd be hard-pressed to play Tarasenko because they were phenomenal without him. You know, he gives them a different dimension, but that guy hasn't played hockey since November.
Right.
You know, like, there's a term, you got to knock the ring rust off. He's got to knock the ring rust off.
Yeah, I'm still going to go with the Blues. They're 4-1 to win in 6. That's what I'm probably leaning towards right now. Although Vancouver in 7 is 7-1, I think that's could potentially be some good value too.
Vancouver's a year or 2 away from really a year or 2 away. Oh, and then they get Seattle 4 times a year.
Yeah.
They are a couple years away. Their goaltender, Friday night, man, I thought Gordy Schneider was playing for him again. I mean, Corey Schneider's hair is redder during the season because of damn red lights on his back so friggin' much. I'm just Vancouver.
Absolutely.
You know, but St. Louis is just that much better. Just like Boston, they use this to get ready. You know, I don't see them being one of those teams that's like forgot how to play hockey like the Bruins did in the first period of every game.
Right.
You know, and it's like, oh wait, we actually have to compete. Like, okay, let's go.
But yeah, St. Louis in 6 is 4-1, and in 7 is plus 425. Yeah, I agree. Blues are better. Canucks a couple years away. I gotta say, I think them and the Golden Knights are probably the best two teams, like long term in the division going forward in that Pacific Division. Depending on like how like Seattle builds their team, I don't think Seattle's gonna come in and be the Golden Knights.
Oh, you know, it's funny. Like I've had this conversation with people, you know, not on the show but everywhere. Seattle isn't. And we were talking about this last night. I think Saturday night after you got off. Seattle's not going to get the wink, wink, nod, nod that George McPhee got with Vegas.
Right.
Like Marc-Andre Fleury is not going to be there's not going to be an all-world goaltender available in this expansion draft. It's not going to be like, oh, don't take this guy. We'll give you these two and a first rounder, and it's like, wait, you just gave them an entire line. You know, like. They did a really good job of putting that Vegas team together. You know, every place it's like, and the other thing that Vegas had working for it, sadly, was 1 October. You know, like, that city rallied behind that team because that team was there to give that city a hug. It's just like the 13 Red Sox, the 0-1 Yankees. When you've got something to play for in professional sports, and I've had this conversation with a good buddy of mine who played in the NHL, and me and Danny have talked about this 100 times. When you have something in professional sports to play for that's not just the guys in the room, but the city you're playing for, man, there's more Vegas Strong jerseys at a game than there are player jerseys.
Right.
Like, Vegas got helped out because those guys just played hockey. And that town fell in love with it. You know, I think Seattle can too, but who the hell wants to have a freaking terrorist attack?
Right. Yeah, somebody actually said to me today, before we move on to like futures, someone actually suggested Matt Murray for the Kraken goalie.
Not gonna happen. They're gonna move him before then.
Yeah, I think so too. I think if you had to ask me who's going to be the Kraken goalie, I think it might be one of those Blues guys, more likely Jake Allen, or maybe the Rangers backup, Alexei or Alex Georgiev.
I think teams are going to look to get something out of those guys. Jake Allen's what's he, in his mid-30s? He's not a spring chicken anymore. Georgiev is going to command a very high price, but what teams are learning is that you can't have a 1 and a 2. You have to have a 1A and 1B.
Right.
You know, like Boston has shown that with Tuukka and Yara Halak. Vegas is now showing that with, like, before the trade deadline, I tell you Vegas was dead in the water. Because there's no way you could lean on, and they would have had to lean on Marc-Andre Fleury. That 8-game stretch that they had, Malcolm Subban wasn't going to see the ice, maybe except for Detroit. You're not going to burn your goaltenders out anymore the way they are. So the Rangers, now with them getting the extremely weighted ping pong ball, because their ping pong ball tonight sounded different than every other one of those ones that hit that thumper. Yeah, there's to me, it's just they gotta. I I know it's hard, but Hank, they gotta make Hank leave. You know, they gotta have Hank retire, so it's not super dead money for a long time, or trade Hank somewhere, and keep the two guys, because it's just like the NFL. When you got a quarterback on a rookie deal, you can spend money everywhere else.
Right.
The NHL, if you have a goaltender who's on a team-friendly deal, you can spend money everywhere else.
Right.
And that's going to be Pittsburgh's thing, is that, like with Pittsburgh especially, you got a lot of guys coming up for big money. You know, Crosby's not going to take a team-friendly deal.
Nope.
You know, he did already. And Ovechkin took a team-friendly deal. You're going to have to finagle, and the Rangers are in such good position right now, you know, where you got guys who are young and cheap and can play well. And when you finally move on from Hank, that frees $7 million off the books.
Yeah. Hey, before we go to futures, you're in for a little bit of a surprise. About to call a good friend of mine, a good friend of ours, I should say, to talk about Alexis Lafreniere, because we're on the subject of the Rangers. I'm going to bring on Derek on the line. Let's see how this goes.
Hello?
Hey, Derek, you're on the podcast with me and Brew. What's up?
Not too much. What's going on?
Nothing.
You still got your Ranger footy pajamas on today?
What are you talking about? Oh, man.
Yeah, you know you're more excited than anybody for that Lafreniere thing. I wouldn't be doing. Look, I wouldn't even. I'd be happier than freaking shit.
Honestly, I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the first part. I decided I'm not going to watch the second part because I didn't expect them to win. And then, like, everybody's talking about it on the chat, and I thought they were kidding, because I thought there was going to be a countdown. And, you know, we all razz each other in there, and I was on top. My brother, like, confirmed, because he watched it, and I was like, wait a second. They really won? That doesn't happen to the Rangers.
Yeah, I just wanted your take on the Alexis Lafreniere on the big win, because
On Lafreniere?
I can't even pronounce his damn
you
last
know what?
name.
It's going to take a little while. He's French Canadian, so it's Lafreniere.
Lafreniere.
So, yeah, Alexis Lafreniere. So I don't even know.
I like the way Madison was saying it first.
Okay.
Lafreniere.
You know why? Because when he sucks, that's all you're going to hear. Ain't nobody going to learn how to know his name.
He's not going to suck. I've seen enough of them. The only thing I'm going to say is that the Rangers now have an interesting thing going. They have 3 left wings. They're like loaded on the wing. Then you have Chris Kreider, although he'll probably drop down eventually. You have Panarin, who obviously is one of the better players in the league. And then you have Lafreniere. So I obviously think that Lafreniere has to be in your top 6. And Kako, you want him to be in the top 6. So I'm very curious to see what they'll do, because I still feel they need a legit second center, and like Hedel is not a second center. He's not proven enough in Strome. I mean, maybe he gets a 1-year deal for like $5 million, but it's just like he might have to consider making a trade because they're missing that one guy that could really center that second line.
Yeah, what I think they're gonna do is they're going to wind up trading one of those young like wings, maybe like a Vucinovic or a Hedel, and flip that into that number 2 center. But we don't know who that number 2 center would be in theory. So that would be an interesting little subplot there. Brew and I were talking about series odds for all the series, as you know, Derek, as I told you earlier. Now I want to look at like championship odds and who has the best quote unquote value on the board. I'm going to go through all the odds real quick before we go for the Stanley Cup. The favorites right now are the Philadelphia Flyers and the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 550. The Colorado Avalanche are plus 650. Tampa's 8-1. Boston's plus 850. St. Louis 10-1. Washington 12-1. I think that Washington should have longer odds. Carolina 13-1. Dallas 17-1. Calgary 20-1. Vancouver 20-1. Islanders 23-1. Arizona, Blackhawks, Blue Jackets, Canadians 32-1. Let's start with you, Brew. Who do you think has the best value on the board?
Best value is whoever can win it. I mean, if you got Philly before the COVID Cup championship bracket, Philly would have been it. But now with them, I don't know why the Smarts are doing that. They just want stupid money. That's all that is. That's dumb money coming in. I still think it's either Vegas or Boston. Because like I said before, I think Boston played this as it was an exhibition season, which really it should have been. You know, and it actually kind of got helped out. I mean, who the hell wants to play Montreal? You know, they'll take their shots. They'll take, you know, the Hurricanes, and they'll take their best shot, and they'll, you know, keep it moving. Vegas, like I said before, I think Vegas is the best team. But I just think they're 4 lines deep. They're 8 defensemen deep. And that's because they had to be most of the year because of injuries. So those are my 2.
Those are 2 good calls. I'm gonna go with the Avalanche at plus 650. I wish the number was better. I think I have them at a better price than that from before the season. That was my preseason pick to win the cup. I love McKinnon. I love their firepower offensively. I love Kel McCarr, future Norris Trophy winner in my opinion. But the goaltending is the one thing that scares me. But I just think it's too much to overcome. Derek, who do you think is going to win this Stanley Cup? Or what odd did you like as I was going through the odds?
Let me do the odds first. I don't want to go with one of the favorites. I kind of like the Lightning at the 8-1.
That's pretty good.
I think they could. I mean, they're being a little undersold. I know there's the injury to Stamkos. I understand that. Hedman, I don't know what his status is going to be, but I think they're a little different this year. I think they're a little deeper. They got a little more depth to them. They got a little more grit. I think guys like Sorelli and Killorn and Palat stepped up for them. And even a guy like Yanni Gourde, who serves a different kind of role. They added Blake Coleman. I know he hasn't fit in yet, but I think they got plenty. As long as Vasilevsky doesn't have any injuries, I think they're going to be fine in the first round. I know it's a rematch, but I see them being fine. You want a sleeper team? I don't know how George is going to react to this, but 13-1 for Carolina is good. I think Carolina is a dangerous team. I don't know what the status on Dougie Hamilton is, but I know that guys like Justin Williams and Jordan Stahl will come to play, and they have a heavy forecheck. They're about 7 or 8 deep on defense. Also, the only question is their goaltending. So they're kind of similar to Colorado. Although I like Colorado's goaltending a little better because I think their backup might want to be the guy. But Carolina, that's not a good draw for Boston. I really don't think it is. I know Boston. I know they were playing these round robin games, but I would be a little worried about that matchup. I think it's going to go 7 games. I think it's going to be a long series.
Yeah, I think 13-1's a little overpriced for Carolina, but I can see where you're coming. If I had to pick a sleeper, I would go Calgary 20-1. I have a future on them at 33-1, and I got that back, I think, in December, and now they're 20-1. Cam Talbot's played very well. I love Johnny Gaudreau. Their defense is pretty solid. Mark Giordano's still around. Calgary 20-1 would be my sleeper if I had to go with the sleeper. What do you guys make about the Flames? George, you go first. I know we talked about them earlier, but I don't think Derek has heard us.
But who was that?
The Flames. That was my pick for my sleeper, 20-1.
Their goaltending still scares the hell out of me. And look, and this is where the bubble's going to hurt some teams. Like, if you had to go into the Saddle Dome in a game 6 or game 5 down in the series, good night, nerves. Playing in a neutral site, that's, some teams feed off the emotion of the building, and Calgary gets rocked. So I heard Winnipeg, right there.
I agree with you on that. I mean, I think the injuries to Shifley and Lane obviously that really killed them. And
True.
They didn't have a great D to begin with. And I was looking at the statistics for every team, right, that played, including round robin.
You want to talk about a team that overachieved this year?
They did.
Winnipeg.
Yeah, well, they did it because of Hellebuck, and Kyle Connor had a great year. He didn't have much of a series against Calgary, and Wheeler didn't have much of a series, and Pionk was a -6. So, they had a rough time there. I mean, that one game where they took those penalties, but they were up 1-0, it killed them. They gave up like 3 or 4 straight goals, and that really turned that series around. So, and I mean, Calgary reeled off 3 straight. The one thing I'll say about the Flames, Madison, is that would have been my next choice for like a long shot, because as long as they stick with Talbot, he had a good second half. They're deep. They're actually a really deep team that has like a mix of skill. We talk about Gaudreau, Elias, Lidholm. We talk about Sean Monahan, and then also you talk about the guy who I love, and everybody loves to hate, Matthew Tkachuk. Plays that heavy game, plays a very heavy game. Who's a really good supporting cast player for them now? Andrew Mangiapane. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but plays a very heavy game. So does Sam Bennett. So they have a really interesting mix there, and Giordano obviously is going to lot big minutes for them. Obviously, they're going to need Hannafin to step up a lot.
Right.
TJ Brody.
TJ Brody's on that team.
So those are the 4 guys on the defense that will have to be really good for them. But they do have a heavy kind of team, and I don't think the Stars are going to score enough goals. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn and Rupi Hentz, if he's healthy, along with Heiskanen and Bishop. A lot of pressure on Bishop. And I don't even know if he's going to be the goalie, because Kukoba did not play him. He played 2 of the first 3 games. So I like the Flames to beat the Stars, and they could be a tough out. So I agree with you.
Yeah, both Brew and I did pick the Flames over the Stars in 7 games when we went through our series picks before when we did the odds. Yeah, so it was a pleasure to have you guys on today. And hopefully we'll do a show either Friday night or Saturday night to talk about these series and other stuff going on. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Did you want a Stanley Cup?
Oh, you want a Stanley Cup quicker That's true. Yeah, Stanley Cup official pick. Real quick, Derek, you go first.
All right. I like the Avalanche. I have them against Vegas, by the way, bro. But I like the Avalanche.
I can't sit through another 7-game series between those two.
Yeah, I think
Saturday was enough for me. I'm good.
From the other side, I don't know. I kind of like the Flyers. I like the way they've been playing. I don't know. Maybe he's learned something. He's playing his kids. He's playing some of these guys. They're pretty deep. Their defense got a lot better during the season. I like Carter Hart. I like that mix that they have. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go Flyers and Avalanche. So I'll be a little different.
I agree with you, Derek, on the Avs. I'm going with the Avalanche over the Boston Bruins. And what about you, George? Who's your Stanley Cup Finals pick as of now?
I'm not going to change from what I said back in January. It's going to be Vegas and Boston. Vegas is going to win.
Wow.
It's going to kill me every single night during that series. I already ordered the industrial strength size pumps from Amazon. If that happens.
That is so
just
funny.
A fly on the wall. If that series happens, just have a.
Oh my! Here's the way I look at it, Derek. At that point, I'm getting a hand T-shirt, so I really don't care. Here's the way I look at it. Boston wins, I guess I have ties there. If Vegas wins, Vegas, I kind of wanted this for a couple of years. Kind of like Giant Patriots 1 and 2. I think Boston is just. I think they know their window's closed, and I think no matter what they say when it comes to Chara, I think Chara, if they win, Chara's gone, and that gives you the money to re-sign Torrey Krug. The fact that they haven't re-signed Torrey Krug yet is as dumb as the Phillies not re-signing JT Realmuto.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you there, George.
Yeah, that is
they need to do that.
Yeah, that is a good call. Absolutely.
To me, re-signing Anders Bjork is like re-signing Promise. Well, Torrey Krug's been your guy for 7 years. Sign the freaking guy already. I don't want to see him playing in Florida with Noah Chari. It just aggravates the shit out of me the way that Don Sweeney does stuff. Just sign the fucking guy. Sign the fucking guy. Sign the fucking guy.
They don't sign him. I think the Devils will go after him because they don't.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love to have a fucking Krug 47 Devil jersey. I'm cool with that. But sign the guy.
I could actually see them going after him because they don't really have a lot there. So that could be a team candidate. If they don't re-sign him, they should re-sign him.
Yeah, I do think Boston sign a Torrey Krug too. I gotta go, guys. It's late, and
okay.
I have some stuff to do, including get ready for tomorrow morning's podcast. As I normally do my daily podcast every day, and I hope to be doing What's Brewing with you guys, whether that's Friday or Saturday.
Saturday probably. Working sucks.
Well, I'll probably have a hard hits coming up. I'll probably do something tomorrow, and then I'll have something on Thursday, stuff on Friday. So we'll mix it up, and you can invite you when you're ready. So thanks for having both of us on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Master. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a good night.